All right, up next, my buddy, Mr. Jay Orm. Super excited to have him back from Action Rocket. He's going to be doing some live coding here. We're going to be talking about riding through the fog, adding a click to reveal a module to your email. All right, let's get my buddy Jay up in here, y'all. He should be in here in just a second. All right, here we go. Let's get some reactions, y'all, for Jay. Here he comes. Here he comes. Man of the moment. There we go. What's going on, Jay?
Not much, you?
Yeah, just hanging out here at email camp, just running the roads here. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Awesome, y'all. Well, before we get going here in just a moment, so yeah, please throw your questions in the question tab so Jay can answer them towards the end. And he's gonna get going here, talking again about riding through the fog, adding a click to reveal module to your email. He's gonna do some live coding here, and just have a good time. So, Jay, let me know if you need anything, man. I'm gonna go ahead and let you take over, and I'll see you in a little bit. All right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, see you in a moment.
So adding a click to reveal to your email. So I'm head of development at Action Rocket. So I look after all the code that we send out. The idea is I'm going to try and show you the simplest version of adding some interactivity to your email. So first off, defining what interactivity is. Actually, I probably already covered this, but just to make sure everyone's on the same page, it's just taking an action in an email that triggers an event without leaving that email. I think Mark Robin said that originally, and that's just kind of what I've based it on. And there's Mark in the chat as well, so no pressure. And how simple can we make an interactive email? So that's an interactive module, sorry, and that's what my aim is today, is to show you a nice, simple way to create a click to reveal in an email. And the agenda is we're going to have some examples where the code that I'm going to show you is supporting. And then also I'm going to live code it in front of you so you can see what's going on, and then where you can go from there, and then any questions. So first off, just some examples. So all of these 3 examples essentially use the same idea behind them. And that's when you click on one thing, it causes something else to happen. So the one on the left from Google is you click on a color and that image changes above it. The pizza one, you click on one of the pizzas to vote and then image changes. And then lastly, that BBC one, where you click on one of the drop downs and then it expands and some other stuff happens. And essentially that's what we're going to do, is create, when you click on something, something else is going to happen. I can't take credit for the Google one, but the other 2 ones I did create. So the example I'm going to show you has a slightly wider support by the way that we do it. And not just in Apple Mail and iOS. It's also supported in Outlook for Mac and Outlook.com, and then also in Yahoo in the way that we code it and put it all together. Unfortunately, Gmail doesn't support the way that we do this, and neither does Windows 10 Mail or Outlook for Windows, but they're going to be a good fallback so that you can see what happens. When you're thinking about support, I saw Megan already shared the progressive enhancement calculator from Parcel on Avi's site. So you can go on there and you can see where interactivity is supported. And then the one that says about clicking and interacting is what I'm going to show you now. And you can go to Email on Acid or your chosen testing or your own ESP's device stats to give you some information on where this could be supported and how worth your while it is to kind of take on doing this. So based on those email client market share, you could get more than 60% of the audience seeing something interactive. So that's quite a large percentage. And then, we'll make sure that the fallbacks also work for everyone as well. So this is the big bit. So I'm going to try and live code in front of everyone. So let's hope this works. So I'm going to switch over to Parcel. Pop that on a big screen so that everyone can see it. So what I'm going to do is start off with, it's just a basic email template that I've got in front of me. So just a setting up at the top and then a body. And then where I'm going to start is just by creating the base that everyone's going to see. So whenever creating an email, the progressive enhancement part is that you build something and then you add to it to make it slightly better. So we'll start off with a table. And we'll add all the normal stuff that you need for a table. Cell spacing, border, and the row. And then we're going to make this one 100% width, just so that it fills the whole screen. So we've got a table, and then we'll just create a table row and a TD. We'll pop a line center on there so that everything we do sits in the center. Cool. So the first thing that we're going to do is just double check that basically we're going to add the content that we want everyone to see no matter what. So if everything goes wrong, all of the styles get stripped, everything goes wrong, we can still see what's going on. So first off, we're just going to add a container, so just a div, and we're going to give it a class of reveal. So this is what's going to be revealed, but it's also what's going to be just static for everyone to see. And we're just going to have this as reveal / fallback. Let's add a bit of padding to the top so that it's not just stuck up at the top. So we've got this is now our fallback. So we can see this is what everyone's going to see no matter what. And then next we're going to start wrapping it in other things so that we can show and hide a bit of different things. So the first thing I'm going to do is wrap it in a label tag. And by wrapping everything in a label tag, everything inside this is going to be clickable. So everything now in here we can click on if we want to. And then the next thing is we're going to have our thing that we want to click on. So again, I'm just going to do, just to keep it simple, a div with a class of click me. So we've got now what I want to click on and what wants to be revealed. But I want to hide this to begin with because obviously we want to, so we're going to got something we want to click on and something that's going to be revealed. So that's there. And then we're going to add our input as well. So this is going to be our checkbox that we use to check that something has actually happened. Checkbox, and there we go. So now we've got all of our elements in the HTML. We've got a checkbox that we can click on. And then because of the label, wherever we click, that automatically checks that checkbox. And then we've got our kind of fallback and what we want to click on. So then the default setting for this is going to be that we're going to hide everything that we want to click on, because those are the bits that are only going to be available for those that are looking at the interactive version. So what we'll do is hide, first of all, our click me. So we're just going to add an inline style of a none. That hides the click me. And then we're going to hide the checkbox as well so that it's not in the way. And we've set those up. So now basically we're back to our starting point. So everything that, no matter what happens now, or if the styles get stripped from the head, you will see the fallback, and that's what everyone will see. And the last thing we need to do is just hide these interactive features from Outlook, because they won't exactly listen to that display none. So we're just going to grab the MSO comments from up here and wrap them around anything that we don't want Outlook to see. And that's it. That's all of our HTML markup to make sure that we can get something to click to reveal. And the next part we're going to do is move on to the styling. So this is where we show and ask, show and tell basically what our email wants to do. So in our head of our email, we're going to style tag. And we want to hide all these things from Outlook. And the easiest way to do that is by adding an @media query. And we'll just put screen on there so that it's got an attribute. So, don't want that one. So we've got our @media screen. Everything inside this media query just won't be listened to by Outlook. So we can put other stuff in here. The first thing I'm going to do is show what I want to be showing for the interactive part. So I'm going to add a class of click me. And to override our display none inline, we just need to have a display block. And because we've got our inline style, we need to override it with an important. So important. And that's going to show my click me button now. So this is where styling for the interactive version. And then on the next line, I'm going to hide what I don't want to see in the interactive version. So we're going to hide our reveal with a display none. There's no need for an important on this one because inline we haven't added any styles specifically to hide them. Next, we're going to add our interactivity so that this is what's going to add the interactive part. So we're going to choose our input as a selector, which is the only input on the screen, which is that input that we have given a type of checkbox. So that's there. And then when it is checked, we want our HTML to do something. And what we're going to use is a selector here. And this is the child selector. So everything, it's like the next to me selector. So everything after the input will be selected by this tilde. So we've got that, and then we're going to have our reveal. And we want that to be shown once we click on it. So we're going to have display. Cool. So now when we click on our click me, our reveal shows. So we've got our checkbox working when we click, and our reveal is showing. Obviously, we probably want that click me to disappear as well. So the next line we'll just do the same. So we'll use that same input checked. And we use the same selector. And then this time we're going to choose click me. And we'll add that display none. And because we've got our further up in our CSS, we've got that important saying that the display block must be important. We'll have to add an important here to make sure that it overrides it. So now when I'm clicking on it, the click me part, so the interactive part is being disappeared and the reveal part is being shown. And you can go back and forth because the whole thing is wrapped in a label. So that's kind of the very simple way of like clicking on something and something shows. And then, yeah, so basically clicking on one thing and something else shows. There's only one more thing that we need to do, and that's to hide all this from Gmail, just because Gmail will listen to a lot of the things that are going on here. So in order to hide the correct things and show the correct things from Gmail, what I always do with Gmail is start a new style block. So if Gmail doesn't like the CSS that's in the style block, it will get rid of the whole lot. So the easiest thing to do is just start a new one. And then the way I'm going to target Gmail is using the U plus body hack. So if you want to visit howtotarget.email, it gives you loads of information on how to target loads of different email clients. So the first thing is we'll just do U plus and then a body class of body. And then we're going to look at our class that we want to target. So in this case, we want to target our click me, and we want to hide the click me bit. So we're going to have a class of click me. And then we want that to display none. And because we've had all that kind of importance and not importance and all above, we'll have an important as well. So on Gmail specifically, the click me section will be hidden. Very quickly, the reason this works is because when the email is loaded in Gmail, the doc type up here changes to a U tag. So that's where the U comes from. And then the plus is selecting the next part, which is the body. And we have to have a class of body and not just the body element, because that body element changes to something else in Outlook, but the class stays the same. So we can keep that, and then we can display none. And then we just want to do the reverse to show the fallback. So U plus body, and then dot reveal, display block. Okay, without any spelling errors. So that's the kind of basic part on how to add the interactivity and how to hide it from the different parts. So that now is technically a completely working part of interactive code. So you can click on it and show stuff. You could add anything you want in the click me section. So within here, you could add a table containing images or just images, because this part is only going to be for the interactive section and not for Outlook. You don't have to code with tables in this one section. So you could have divs or containers, or any way you want to code an interactive part can be in there. And then anything in the fallback just needs to work for Outlook. So the same rules apply whenever you're creating anything for Outlook, popping it in a table, make sure the widths are there, all the normal things that you do for Outlook. Now, this is almost completely working. The last part is that we need to make it accessible, because really no code at all that we send out, if it's not accessible, then it's not finished. So in Mark Robbins, we actually had a chat about this before, and he's given me a snippet of code to show me how to make this accessible via keyboards, because at the moment, with the input having display none on it, it means that the keyboards can't click on it. So you won't be able to, if you're using something where you can only use a keyboard, you won't be able to click through. There's a snippet of code that he sent through. So I'm just going to grab that because it's quite a lot to type. So here's one I prepared earlier. And we're just going to add that to the top up here. So it means that there's a couple of changes that need to be made. So one is just that instead of just having the input and not having any classes on it, we just need to give it a class to make it the checkbox. So we just add a class equals checkbox. And then we remove this display none, because this display none is the part that's causing the issue for the accessibility. So we can remove that. And now that we've added all of this, it means that we've allowed a keyboard to focus on it and go through. And there you go. That is all of the code needed for creating a very simple click-to-reveal module within your email. So very small. As you can see, it's only 2 kilobytes of code for a whole interactive module. So that gets it working across everywhere. And then, yeah, so there'll be any questions in a minute. Afterwards, I'll share the link to this on Parcel as well. So you can grab the code and you can play with it yourself, and you can add to it and amend it and do anything you want like that. Let me just go back to the presentation that I had, if I can. Oh, probably shouldn't have played from the start. There we go, live code. So where to go from here? So as I said, this is kind of like the very start of the way you could look at interactivity. So I put a repo together on GitHub, which is just a fancy way to say that if you follow this link, all the code is already there for you, or you can scan the QR code. So you can click through, check out the different ways to add the interactivity. You can check out the accessibility section that I've added after talking to Mark, so that gives a bit more information. And the idea is that we'll continually add little bits of snippets, so you can add carousels and accordions and anything else to kind of add that interactivity to your email. And that section of click to reveal is also on there, so you can go on there and grab it from there. Cool. So that was all of the code and all of the things that I was planning to go through. And I was just going to answer any questions that you've got on any interactivity. And then, yeah, hopefully I can even jump back into the code if anyone's got any specific questions. I'll scroll back through what people have said on the questions and have a look.
Oh, Jared, that was so cool. I felt like I was watching a cooking segment, just because you have such a good flow of just it was so soothing. Just yeah. I'll even say this. My one of our leaders, Bea, you probably see her in the chat. She says, "I love the email devs. I wish I knew how to code so I could be friends with all of them." So
well, you can be friends with us anyway. That's fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's see here. The first question we had, this was from a separate channel, but someone wanted to know, with interactive emails like this that Action Rocket has developed, what sort of increase in engagement do your clients tend to see? Have you seen things like have you used things like click maps to measure if people engage with interactive elements?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So one is you can add a specific link to your interactive section. So you can just track if anyone clicks on that link. And if that link is only shown in the interactive version, then that's a good way to test it. Or another way is by using tracking pixels and only loading them via a background image. Then you can, whenever someone clicks on something, so when I had that input checked, when it gets checked, you could load invisible tracking pixel somewhere, and that will give you an idea of how many people are clicking on that. It's not perfect because obviously it's an image loading, so there's loads of things that can affect that, like Apple MPP and loads of other bits and pieces. But that is one way. So some stats are like we've had between 50 to 80% higher click-through rate on an interactive email versus a non-interactive email, and then by showing a full journey within the email, it's had a 20%, generally a 20 to 30% higher action on a website. So showing like a feature in an email that you can click through, and then clicking from the email to the website and taking that action was an increase of about 20 to 30%. So yeah, it does work from what we've done. I do normally say when I'm creating interactivity that it's kind of, it's like the icing on the cake to your email stuff. So if you've got personalization, you've got segmentation, you've got deliverability sorted, you're doing all those things right, then adding this interactivity will bump it up a little bit more. But if you haven't got all those other things correct, then adding interactivity is not automatically going to be like the silver bullet to fix stuff.
Now you heard it, folks. Not the silver bullet. Okay. And then, this is from the same channel as well, but someone wanted to know, since email pre-send testing usually sends static screenshots, how do you handle testing interactive emails to make sure they work the way you expect in as many mailboxes as possible?
So there's a couple of ways. One is we use emulated devices. So in Parcel that I was just showing you, it has live views of devices. So it emulates what an iPhone, an iPad, a MacBook might show. So you can click actually on a preview of what it should look like. As well as sitting at my desk right now, I've got 3 laptops, 3 mobile phones, all with all of the different email clients on it. So whenever, maybe not at every stage, but once we're kind of near the end and we're pretty happy with everything, I'll send a test to like 10 live devices and physically click on every single one of them to make sure they work.
Nice. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Let's see. Jeffrey Lakes wanted to know, so are there any issues with dark mode while using what you just did in the live demo?
No, it's exactly the same as all the other bits of code. So the text would be inverted. You could add the dark mode code to make sure it changes, but all of the elements that are in there, there's nothing special that you couldn't style using the dark mode techniques that other people spoke about.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, so Noel wanted to know, making a general fallback is the way everyone is using, but can't we make a different fallback according to what's the MUA is accepting? For example, on the click to reveal, doing a fallback on Hover for Gmail, could this be a good guideline?
Yep, yeah. I mean, that is like the simplest piece of code that you could possibly do that shows a fallback for everywhere that doesn't support it, and then just the interactive where it does. But using that website that I mentioned before, howtotarget.email, you could add so much to that. You could add hover effects. You could show a different message for the different email clients that are on there, and you could show a different one for Outlook, a different one for Yahoo. You could do loads of different things. But all of them should start from that basis of where everything, so where I had that fallback where there was no styling and that fallback was shown, that is where every email I think should start, because like I think it was only 2 years ago, Gmail one day just turned off styling in the head. So all of a sudden loads of emails were breaking, but ours weren't breaking because we'd created this email that works with nothing and then added to it, and that's the progressive enhancement part of it. So I would always start with like a fallback that works in as many places as possible, and then add to it to try and make it to kind of improve as it goes along.
Gotcha. Okay, let me see here. Okay, this one comes from Justin. He wanted to know, would this show up as a click around RR? So I apologize if I get this anagram right, but click RR is some form of engagement in your analytics.
So that specific click wouldn't, because the action is happening in the email and you haven't left it. So there's no email tracking that's added to that. The way that you could add it was, as I said before, you could have a separate tracking pixel. And when you get that inbox checked, that input checked, you could load that tracking pixel. And that would give you an idea of how many people are clicking on that by how many times that pixel is being loaded. But yeah, other than that, there's no way of knowing how many people actually click on that.
Good to know. Okay. Yo, any more questions for Jay before we let him go for the rest of his day? Man, you've actually tackled a bunch of them already. You're such an immersive knowledge. Let's see. We got another one. Oh, any advice on how to implement for those who use homegrown platforms?
So that HTML should work everywhere. It's not specific to Parcel or anything like that. You could, if you were using MJML, you could just do MJML raw, stick it in the middle, and that would sort that out. Or you could, it could work with basically any code that you wanted to. Everything should fit around it. Unless your ESP has some kind of quirk where it doesn't support inputs or something. So I know people in the past have had problems with MailChimp where sometimes it might strip certain parts. So So depending on your ESP, it might not 100% work. But if you literally take that code that I had there, copy and paste it all just straight into your ESP and click send. If it works, then there you go. That's all you have to do.
Nice, nice. All right, y'all, this is Jay's last question. I think it's my favorite. Jay, why are you so awesome? I'm serious. Someone asked us that.
Years of practice. That's all. Yeah. So I started at Action Rocket like 6 years ago as a junior coder, just about being able to make like responsive emails, and not very well, I must admit. And the team there have kind of nurtured and taught me everything as we go through. Yeah, it's just purely time and practice. And yeah, I do this all day, every day. So that's why I get more and more time to practice it.
Y'all, you heard it here first. Jay is code. He is it. He lives it. Jay is awesome because Jay is awesome. Y'all, exactly, exactly. Well, Jay, man, thank you so much for stopping by, for being here, taking time out of your day to be with us. I love when you get to come by and just hang out with us, and it's always a good time. So I appreciate you coming by. Is there anything you want to leave us with before you head out?
No, I'm going to hang on and be here for a little while. So if you want to ask any questions, or yeah, on Twitter, it's email J_. So you can always ask any questions on there, and I'm happy to chat code whenever.
Awesome. You heard it there, folks. He's always happy to chat. Jay, seriously, again, thank you so much for stopping by and taking time out of your day to be here with us. And we love when you come to Email Camp. So hope to see you soon, and hope to see you in real life soon, hopefully. So
definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. Take care, Jay. Hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.